This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You still awake? You better be. You better be. Wake them all up if you're not paying attention, because the San Antonio Spurs are going to Las Vegas, going into LA tonight in the NBA Emirates Cup quarterfinals, taking care of business against the Lakers, and as a result, got themselves a date in the semifinals coming up this weekend against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Welcome into the Spurs POSTCAST right here on Locked On Spurs, the #1 sports podcast network in all of the land. Tonight, my dear friend, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, we are feeling good because the Spurs are doing something they've never done before, and that is reach, I know it's only 3 years, but reach the Cup quarterfinals tonight, taking care of business against Los Angeles with all the bright lights on them, without Victor Wembanyama, and they go in there. I don't want to say they leave no doubt, because when you're a couple days removed from almost blowing a game, a 25-point lead against the Pelicans, nothing's firmly decided, but this is a game they controlled from start to finish tonight, and as a result, they're going to be rewarded for it this weekend.
Yes, sir, Casey. I'm here. I'm awake. I'm ready. Big win, big win, big win. Let's talk about it. I'm ready, Casey.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, and there is a lot to talk about, because the first half was something that we have seen kind of become commonplace over the past few weeks with this Spurs team. A really good first half, really strong offensively, really efficient, and another one that they had a double-digit lead in. Fourth straight game that they've taken that into the halftime break. This one by 13 points. They were on top. Hit over 50% of their threes in the first half. 29 bench points. Keldon had 13 in the first quarter alone. You're looking great. But like we just mentioned, the previous few nights, the third quarters, and really, well, more than the previous two nights, it was just really bad the previous two nights. The third quarters have been a thing, and teams have gotten back into the game. So how do the Spurs, a team that's been plagued by this for weeks now, with this third quarter coming out of the break woes, they opened the third quarter on a quick 10-2 spurt to blow that advantage up, pushing 20, each of which Stephon Castle either scored and assisted on in some capacity. And as a result, the advantage is 17 going into the fourth quarter of play. Fourth quarter, they go up by 23. And now you're waiting for that Laker push to happen. They had a couple little flurries of life in the third, but the Spurs, to their credit, kicked them back down. But now the real push happens. Marcus Smart hit 8 threes in this game tonight. He hit his 8th, gets them back within 11. Austin Reeves, the ensuing play, gets an and one, but the Spurs, some big-time buckets down the stretch. Ultimately, they close things out on the back of Stephon Castle, 30 points, 10 boards, 6 assists. De'Aaron Fox, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists as well. Surviving 35, 5, and 8 from Luka, 19, 15, and 8 from LeBron. They do the job, and they walk away with a 132-119 victory, and one that they obviously needed to get, and just impressive on a whole bunch of fronts. That speaks volumes about where this team is at as they continue to make that push and put people on notice.
Yeah, well, it talks about the depth of what it is that this roster has. And, you know, we've been able to talk about different guys, different nights. But, you know, tonight it was everybody, and just a great team win as far, you know, as that goes. But, man, you know, Coach Mitch was great in the strings that he pulled. And just the team, you know, like you said, in LA, a bunch of stars. LA has their stars. Some of their guys were stepping up, and San Antonio was able to counterpunch that and get a big victory in a big-time environment tonight.
Yeah, let's go back to the biggest counterpunch, because that's going to be our turning point tonight.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
All right, so I mentioned that Austin Reeves and one. It cut it to a 122-114 game with 3:50 left to go. And how does San Antonio respond? The ensuing possession, Stephon Castle comes right down the floor. They run a beautiful set, a drive and kick situation. Fox, catch and shoot, knocks down the triple. They go back up by 11, just outside of 3 minutes left, and that's kind of the last little bit of life before a couple moments after JJ pulls the plug, takes the starters out, and the Spurs get into a accept the fact that they're moving on. I thought tonight was the first time not the first time, the best, I guess, we've seen so far of the Castle and De'Aaron Fox thing, in my opinion, because it felt like there was not as much, and there still is an element of it of I get mine, you get yours, and just go back and forth type deal. That's not going away overnight, but it felt like there was the most fluidity that they've had, the most chemistry that they've had, not as much stagnation. I mean, the team as a whole, they put up a $132 tonight. And I look at that play again. Yeah, I think it was a turning point in the game, but I also think that was kind of like a microcosm, so to speak, as maybe things are shifting for the better with the two of them. And it certainly appeared that way tonight.
Well, it's funny because, every time Castle was scoring, I thought about you and Jeff and who y'all picked on the tandem. And I was just smiling to myself because, we saw this at the beginning of the year, before he got hurt, where he was going with his basketball game. What a night to have the night that he had, and on the stage that it was. And it just shows you where he's going to be, come 3-4 years from now. And like I said, I'd seen this, and I'm not taking anything away from Dylan Harper or anything like that. But, when you talk about, some of the plays he made, especially at the start of that third quarter, when the Spurs have been having all those problems. And I don't know, we jumped on, but De'Aaron Fox was talking about some of the things that they've been talking about in the locker room that third quarter. And you can see the Spurs are tired of hearing that. They're tired of hearing about it on the streets, and they're tired of hearing about it from Mitch. And they answered tonight, Casey.
Yeah, I mentioned Dylan Harper. He goes for 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Julian Champagny and Harrison Barnes each putting up 16. Keldon Johnson, 17 and 8. Collectively, they end up putting up 48 bench points, hit 50% of their shots, 45% from 3. Not a whole lot to really single out. Negative. It felt like we were just kind of reverting back to, it's our job to be diplomatic and find something to nitpick. Maybe not as strong as nitpick, so to speak, but there's some kind of flaw to acknowledge and things they can fix. And yeah, there are. But if you're anything like me, you were just waiting for that rally to really go for the Wolves. Because it's the NBA, and because we hang out now. I quote you all the time when every team makes a run. So now every team. Look smart, so now I look smarter whenever I say that because I hang out with you. So you knew that was coming from the Lakers. That wasn't accidental. But I just love the fact that the counter punches kept happening, and it was from everywhere. And they were doing it in every single type of way, whether it was a Fox isolation to get a bucket, whether if it was a stop leading to a transition score, a Harper layup. You saw it all the way. I mean, LeBron dunked on Cornet into the next solar system, whatever you want to call it. And so everyone at the Staples Center is going nuts. And what does Cornet do? The Spurs, they get the stop, they get the bucket. He comes back, he gets a block, and it leads to another score. And instead of an eight-point game at the break, it's 12. So things like that, they add up. And tonight you really saw it. You really saw it, that everybody found a way to do it. And I know it's cliche because we've been saying this, I don't know, for however long we've been saying it, that it takes a little bit of everyone without Victor, but that keeps being the case. And tonight was just a fantastic job of that, of just being there, being ready for what the Lakers were going to hit you with, and shutting the door, kicking them while they're down. And they did.
All right, so there's a couple of things there. So what we try and do, which is why we love doing this, is when the Spurs they've given us a lot of ammo when they lose, right? What we do is we try and give the side of why it is that they lose and why it is they have these negative things. You talk about tonight, and this is something, Luke Cornet, like I said, I'm going to go back to De'Aaron Fox's interview because of the shirt that he had on. Everybody's got the little symbol now. Those shirts were in the locker room already. I don't know if they got passed out because of the win or because they got dunked on by one of the top 5 players of all time. I'm not sure. But those T-shirts were already there. And it's funny that everybody, is putting them on and things like that. But and my last point about that note is Luke Cornet one day is going to tell his grandkids about LeBron James and being dunked on. They're not going to believe him, but there's videotape everywhere, so they'll believe him, Casey. But to your point, everything that the Lakers, and it started in that second quarter. And the thing that I love is they have the coaches mic'd up. And JJ, obviously, you could hear him talking when they would go to him. But for a while there, and somebody's going to get a talking to because you could hear Mitch. Like when the play was going on, you could hear Coach Mitch, and he was saying, don't fall for their stuff. Don't get sucked into what they're doing. And what that means is Luka's nonsense, pulling the ball through, drawing fouls, LeBron flopping and flipping all over the court. The Lakers started that run in the second quarter. They got into the bonus early, got some free throws to chip into that lead. But to your point, Spurs withstood all of that, played their game, came out and stayed the course and got the win.
Man, the Amazon Prime, I know it's a million different streams. I get it. Like
Yes.
I'm in the same way. It's a pain, but the Prime broadcasts have been fantastic this year.
Yes.
Between the mics next to the bench, between the studio crew, everything about the Amazon Prime experience so far has been tremendous.
And I told you the stuff that I pay attention to, it gives you details and things. Like
Right.
I told you, I look at those assistant coaches and reactions on certain players and things like that. And Casey, I tell you, it helps me out tremendously.
Anything that helps you out helps me out. So I'm glad it's helping you out. All right. Well, for all smiles that we are tonight, in about 72-ish hours, I have no real sense of equilibrium time. It's Saturday night, Oklahoma City Thunder on deck. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll weigh into that a little bit more because it is going to be one of 3 times the Spurs get together with the OKC Thunder this month. What will we learn at the end of December, starting first with this Cup semifinals game that we got coming up on Saturday this weekend out there in Las Vegas? But before we get into that dialogue, let's talk about our friends that help drive this program. Going to start tonight with Mint Mobile. As you know, there's no reason to let the big wireless companies drain your wallet, especially when it comes to the holidays. Right now, Mint Mobile's running their best deal of the year. All their unlimited plans, 50% off. That means you can lock in 3, 6, or even 12-month unlimited premium wireless plans for just $15 a month. The easiest way to take your overpriced bill and give it the full Scrooge treatment, if you will. And what makes this even better is how simple it makes the switch. None of that contracts, no nonsense, nothing like that. Reliable, quality service and savings. That's what you want. That's what you're going to get. So turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings for the future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA, mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6, $180 for 12-month plan required. It's the $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees, initial plan term only. Greater than 35 gigs may slow when the network is busy. Capable devices required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com for more details. Hey, that money that you're going to be saving there, perhaps we've got some soccer fans hanging out with us tonight because the World Cup, as you know, you might have heard, it's coming back to North America for the first time since '94. If we're being honest, though, there's a lot of hype around it, and it's going to be pretty difficult to try to get some seats. It's going to be difficult. So that said, you're going to need help, and that's where Game Time is going to help you out with that. You can track prices in real time when they drop, go up, go down. When the great seat opens, they're going to let you know and make your dream of going to the World Cup realistic. Make it possible. Take the guesswork out of buying those World Cup tickets, every match, concert, event with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. As always, terms apply. Again, download the app, make the account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. And as they say with Game Time, swipe, tap, ticket, and go. $132-119 is what the margin reads tonight in LA in favor of the San Antonio Spurs. And as a result, picking up the win in the quarterfinals matchup and have a date with the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, who made very short work of the Devin Bookerless Suns winning by almost 50. The slightly imposing, I guess, side of things that you're walking into, so to speak. We were having a conversation yesterday, and you said if you want to put things into perspective, and now we're past the quarter pole of the season, but if you're at the quarter pole of the season and you have one loss, which the Thunder do, you're doing things very much the right way, and understandably so, the reigning champs. That's not going to kill the buzz in that Spurs locker room at all, in the slightest. This is the challenge. This is what they've been waiting for. Is there a time, do you think, in your career where you look at something like this and you kind of parallel it to where you're at and you see them where they're at now, and that kind of sticks out, that maybe resonates with you, ignites that memory with you a little bit as they head into something like this?
Yeah, definitely. I got called up the 02-03 season with the Nuggets, and team was, we were 37 games from the 8th spot, with about 11 games to play in a season, and so we were out of it. And so the Phoenix Suns came to town in Denver, in McNichols Arena, and you're talking about Steve Nash, Joe Johnson, Leandro Barbosa, a healthy Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion. They beat us like 150 something to 82. So about halfway through that game, he said, "Wow, that's what a 3rd or 4th seed looks like in the NBA. We got a long way to go." So when you're going into a game like this and they're playing OKC, you want to know where you stand as a team. And like we talked about, Casey, 25 games, right? 25 games. Well, OKC's 24-1. So their front office, Sam Presti and his guys, doing a great job. So they know where they're at. They know everything about everything they got going on. Well, where are the Spurs at, and what do they have to look forward to? They have to look forward to Saturday night. It's going to be a big matchup. I know San Antonio will be ready for it. OKC will definitely be ready for it.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that really sticks out to me about this Oklahoma City Thunder team is that they play, they play harder than some teams when they're up 40.
Yes.
Comparatively speaking to some teams, just their regular night's work. That team plays so hard, regardless the score. And it's not in the sense that like it's running up the score. That's you can just tell that's just the compass of what they are. They play so hard. They play so physical the rest of the way. And it's just it speaks to the job that they've done from instilling that culture. And obviously around here, that's something that most can relate to when they see that. And you're a team like that, like where the Spurs are. There's a lot of, I guess, you know the lore of what the Spurs are. You see the rings, you see the championships, you see the things like that. But a lot of these guys who were on the team, they were in elementary school when the Spurs were the Spurs.
Yes.
I feel like this Oklahoma City game is going to be a real wake-up call as to what San Antonio Spurs basketball was all about, what disciplined basketball is out, a full 48, something that they're going to get introduced to, and it's going to be a great opportunity to see if this stuff resonates. If we're here, if this Spurs team, if you're saying we're arriving, we're ready for the spotlight, this is it. All these things that are being instilled to us, discipline, culture, playing for everybody else, you're going to stare this opposite from you in the brightest of lights this weekend, 3 times between now and Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm pumped.
So the first part of your question is, let's not forget, I mentioned his name before, Sam Presti. He was here right in the middle of our heydays and a little bit before that. So when San Antonio was building their stuff in the front office, he was the major, part of that with R.C. Buford. So he knows, hey, listen, 1 through 15, we're going to be good. And to speak to the first part of your question, well, yeah, guys, 10 through 15 on Oklahoma City's roster, they practice against those guys every day. So they know, hey, when we get an opportunity to play, our minutes are earned because look who we're playing behind. We're playing against some of the best young players in the NBA. So if we go out there and slack off, guess what? You're not going to be around here very long. So that's what they're thinking in OKC as far as everything that goes with that and how they, put that roster together. So yeah, the Spurs have to be ready because OKC is trying to come out. And like you said, they're not trying to run the score up. They're trying to let you know what the standard is and what an NBA team that is playing together, that's what that looks like.
Yeah, you phrased that much more eloquently than I could. Let them know what the standard is. It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's true. That's what champions do. And that's what they did. And that's part of the reason they ran through the league last year, and they're doing the same again this year.
Let me say this, Casey. I was guy 15, used to sit over there in the first row with the crowd when that was legal, when we used to be able to do stuff like that. Now you can't. But if your number was called with a minute 52 to go in the game and we're either up 30 or down 30, whatever it is, listen, I had veterans pull me inside and they're like, hey, you better take advantage of this minute 52 or whatever the case may be. That's how it is when you're on championship ball clubs. It doesn't matter what guy gets in the game. If you go out there and you're an embarrassment to other players or that team, they will let you know about it.
It's true. It's what it is. And this is the first time in a long time that we've just kind of seen that really start to trickle down here in San Antonio on that front.
Right.
The Wembanyama update is a good one
Okay.
because we heard that on the broadcast and Mitch pregame that Victor is playing 5-on-5. And if you've tuned into this program before, thanks again to Devin. We use our math, our trajectory, our limited medical knowledge, at least for me. Devin probably is, I know for a fact he knows more than I do on that front. How close he gets to return is by the amount of people that he's on the floor with. And 5-on-5 means you're knocking on the door. And that would suggest, emphasis on suggest, because I said the same thing a week ago and Victor didn't play in LA tonight. But that would suggest that Victor is on a pretty good pace to play come Saturday. Do you think Victor will play Saturday?
Well, it was a great comment that Mitch said before the game. We don't let our opponent determine, who our players play against, meaning the Lakers. Now, if there's someone pulling the strings on Victor sitting out against the Lakers because they felt like they had an advantage with the players they had, he needs to have his jersey on Saturday night because this is a different opponent. I'll just say that.
Hey, I know someone who's always going to have his jersey on, regardless of the occasion. Our player of the game tonight.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Oh, it would appear that Stephon Castle is back and back for good.
Yeah. Castle is who he is. Dynamic year 2. This guy, his ceiling is going up and up and up. Spurs got themselves another superstar, and it's good to see him have the night that he had tonight. Hey, and Casey, he's going to have many more of these.
30 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, leading the way for a victorious San Antonio Spurs team tonight as they get ready for a date with the Oklahoma City Thunder in Las Vegas Saturday. Prime TV, literally and figuratively, because that's where you're going to catch it. But until then, you're going to want to come back to Locked On Spurs all week in the meantime, because I guess a little bit later on today now, because we're now past the midnight hour, myself, Devin, Jeff Garcia, we're all going to get together on the Spurs Squad Show. And then stunning turn of events, we're going to be talking a whole lot about this, and we'll have you covered. Then Jeff, of course, well, actually, he'll technically have you covered bright and early with the title pod like he always does. But come Friday, come Saturday, Devin and I, we will be back for the postcast, regardless, for better or worse. We're going to be here talking about it. What's going to be a very exciting time a very exciting evening for your San Antonio Spurs, much like it was tonight. And as we do every program, got to thank you, the viewers. Thank you who are checking in, the everydayers who make this program possible, who are the reason the Locked On Podcast Network is the #1 sports podcast network out there. It's because of your engagement, hanging out with us after midnight here. A ton of engagement tonight. You know, we appreciate all the love you've been giving us. You're the ones who make this a lot of fun, especially when the team's winning, just like they did again tonight. 132-119 is what the final scoreboard reads as the Spurs get a big one tonight, and they're heading to Las Vegas. Exhale, everybody. So time to go to rest, time to get a nap, time to go to bed. For my dear friend and Mr. NBA champion, Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. We'll talk to you tomorrow, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.